lights and the drop ceilings. He has crews that are dismantling. He has a crew, and he has 2 or 3 crews to come in and put the ceiling tile grids in and put the ceiling tiles. So the first thing he's doing is demolishing, taking out the lights. Then they've already started with the grids in the rooms. As they move through rooms, they're doing that. And then the lights will come in and drop in, and then the tiles.
And they'll be scheduled to be ready by Thanksgiving.
They are scheduled to be ready. Don's meeting with him every day, and I'm meeting with him every day, and that's moving along.
Do we have a plan in case we have to move kids to other rooms?
Yes, we do, but the lights, we could do that.
Well,
yes,
and if they don't make the contract, they have to do it at nighttime.
That's what it was. So that part is going very well, and I'm anxious to see it when they get a room complete to see what it looks like. It looks like it's going to be later this week. They'll get at least 1 or 2 wings.
Yeah, because he's putting a crew at every. He's putting a crew at every school. So.
And that's wonderful. That was the problem in the bid, is they had to finish.
Is there any? You said there is some wings that are completed.
No, there are some that will be completed by this week, I think.
You're going to go in and see the difference, to be able to walk into the 2 rooms and see the difference.
The last room on the left, the walls, I said,
Yeah, the grid. They were moving down quarrels today, but they were doing that at each school. He thinks the first one that he will finish will be middle school, he told me today. He thinks he will complete that school by the end of next week, unless he gets into something down there. So like I said, they're moving, and so they've been very respectful of our floors and everything, and our maintenance department's working ahead of them. We have TVs and things at the elementary and middle school that have to come down because they're high enough that they'll hit the ceiling. So we're taking all that down. That's our responsibility, and then maintenance will go back and put that back. So, and the moving of classrooms is just about complete. We dismantled the library trailer at Quarles and took the FEMA had bought a really nice set of library shelving that was in that trailer. So now that the school year's over, we took that furniture and divided it between middle school got part of it, and then Reeves and Quarles got some of it because they had some shelving that didn't have backs, and what was in there was much nicer than what we had. So maintenance has moved all of those and reset that up. And so that was a nice plus, because that was some really expensive furniture that was in that trailer.
Okay.
So,
All right.
okay.
Other discussion?
One other question on that.
Yes.
What are they doing down at Holcomb Commons, that cinder block wall they're putting on the east side?
That's the pavilion. There's a small pavilion that's being done with that one, and the one on the north playground is being done with CDBG grants. Okay. Remember, we have just a small covered pavilion like we have at the other 2 schools.
Okay.
There'll be one there on the front, and then one on the north playground. One on the north playground will be larger, and CDBG is doing that.
All right, how are we coming about on the playground equipment?
It is out on bid right now. Probably be open either the middle or end of July. So it won't be in when school starts, but it will be coming probably by September.
Did we ever get a final word on if FEMA is going to pay, or we discussed that at the time of moving it and replacing it? Who's going to pay for it?
No, FEMA would not do that, but the CDBG grant is paying for a whole new playground. They wouldn't pay to move, because then you're mixing 2 different funds, but they would pay for the new playground.
And you gotta remember, this is a different age group of kids.
Right.
What's on Quarles now, a lot of it won't apply to.
We don't need them. We originally had asked for a set for kindergarten and all, like it's at Quarles, and then the big one, but we're just going with a large structure. We don't need the other one.
But you know what would be, I guess, really when we were ordering this stuff, we wasn't anticipating the shifting of the age groups.
No.
I wonder if because we haven't received the bids, we don't have to accept any of them.
No.
I wonder if we can evaluate at Reeves, Quarles, what that age group actually used. I mean, what did they, when they went in PE, what was actually a piece of equipment? Because a lot of them could do softball, kickball, or whatever, and they're not into the swings and the teeter-totters and all that kind of stuff.
It's not for PE that you use this, it's for recess. And,
well, I know.
And at recess,
PE is
No, PE is a class, recess is from.
Well, it's PE.
It may be structured.
It's PE back when I was in class.
When we ordered this and we looked at it, we talked to principals, and over watching over the last 2 years with the playgrounds we have, the upper grade children use that playground structure quite a bit,
But I do, I
with
would,
the tower.
I would like us to relook at it though, because
Okay.
if we're putting in just what we've got, like at Quarles and Reeves, some of that I know is not appropriate for 4th through 6th grade. And I don't want to throw something on there that's never going to be used.
But remember, you also will have a self-contained class at Reeves, at Pecan, that the playground that we're putting in is handicap accessible, and those things that a lot of the 4th through 6th graders may not want, you've got to have for those children. They may not be able to go down the large slides. They need some of what they usually will use what a lower elementary will use. So we looked at that, but I will look at it again when we get the bids, we'll look. But we do have to provide for that self-contained class there.
All right. Mr. Stubbs.
Okay, the reason I stated that we should look at possibly putting in a nepotism policy, or at least developing one, is because in light of the situation we had when we went through this board selection, our last board selection, which we had nothing to do with, but nepotism came up as an issue. I received a note from a friend, associate, who asked what was Long Beach nepotism policy in our policy book. And so I actually did a review of the policy manual and found that we do not have a specific nepotism policy in our book. We have a couple of policies that actually mention nepotism. One is Hiring Procedures, All Employees Background Check, and that's GACC, which address nepotism and conflict of interest. And then we have Staff Conflict of Interest, which also kind of reference nepotism. But we have no nepotism policy, and I think that's something we need to consider. And if the board is interested, we can ask Carolyn, or I can go and do some research and come up with some policies that has already been established. We can review them and then make modification to them. But I believe that would be in our best interest.
I can, if you want to look at it, what we do is we follow basically the state
policy.
The state policy on nepotism is what we follow. We can get copies of that for you to see, and we can get,
Yeah, and I
Mr.
understand.
Simpson can get that, and we can also, I'm on the mass board, and we have a meeting in a week down here, and I can ask Sam Bounds to pull some others from other districts.
Well, see, he's retired, and obviously he's got a lot of free time. Give it to him and let him go to it.
No, I mean, I looked at it and I know the state has a nepotism policy, and we referenced
The
that.
Attorney
However,
General has some specific rules going with that, correct, Jamie? And that's what we go, and we keep pretty closely with his technicalities reports and any rules that
I
he
mean,
has.
the state nepotism policy, I mean, it really only affects the school board.
Right.
I mean,
And so that's what I'm saying, that we need to look at something that's more specific for the Long Beach School District in terms of having a nepotism policy in our policy manual, wherever the thing is. And that's, again, that was something that I want to put out on the floor. And if the board is interested, then I will pursue it. If not, then we'll put it on the agenda as the next item says we chose not to do so.
When is actually the last time we reviewed, like do we don't annually review policies?
No.
We did it.
No.
I think the last
You talking about the board policy?
Yeah.
Board policies, because I know handbooks and stuff like that, y'all, are annually.
No, you're talking about school policy.
But I'm talking about.
District policy.
We review it when the state comes out with new rules and guidelines, but that's when we'll bring to you a new policy. Jim does a lot of that with his federal.
We just make sure we comply with whatever
Well,
the
see,
regulations.
There's a lot of times that certain policy procedures brought to us that says, okay, we maybe need to relook at our policy on this.
Well, that's where I'm going.
We are
What
reactionary on
what
policy.
if-
Something comes up that we have to review that policy, we'll go in and we'll check it and see what it is. But
James, you and I sat for 2 hours one night with the entire board looking at policy, talking about single little words in policies.
Right, can make a difference.
to make a difference.
Right. And consensus was that we did not want to change, go ahead and make an effort to change, openly change policy just because of certain words that might sway us one way or the other. And we decided that we were going to actually change policy as needed.
But with all the new things that are being legislated today,